make sure there's a camera on me.
You're live.
Oh. Welcome to our virtual open house today. We had some people came in person, but the weather was really bad. And I'm going to assume that's why we didn't get as many people as we were hoping for. So Juneau Live Studio is Resurrections Church's multi-camera community access studio that we ended up sort of incidentally created here in the church sanctuary. Just a little background on how that happened. When about a year ago, the governor closed the churches due to COVID, a quite reasonable thing to do. This church looked quickly on what we could do to still get our services out. My wife is the pastor here, Pastor Karen Perkins, and as it happened, I had a garage full of video production equipment since I used to own my own video production company, and I'd worked in regional broadcast television. So I started hauling out the equipment from my garage, and we quickly and we're up and running by that Sunday with a 2-camera setup. And as we went forward, I kept hauling more and more equipment out of my garage, and we quickly went to a 3-4 camera setup. And then when people were allowed back into church, we started bringing in some of the volunteers in the church, and were able to start training crew and adding more equipment. And then I started purchasing some equipment out of Karen and I's bank account, which Pastor Karen was not terribly happy with. And we started updating equipment. We learned how to stream using Open Broadcaster software studio. And then eventually we applied for one of the CARES grants to update the studio even further, and we eventually ended up with what is, through a lot of careful buying and other things, a full 5-floor camera and studio with cameras on dollies, and also 6 fixed cameras. We have 26 studio quality microphones. Everything in the studio matches. All 5-floor cameras are the same Canon small professional cameras, and all the studio microphones are MXL 67s, and we have a large mixing board. We have, additionally, we have 10 studio LED programmable lights that we can change color temperature on. We also have a variety of instruments in the studio. We have a beautiful Yamaha grand piano. We also have a Roland FP5 digital piano. We have a CB drum kit. We have a fair number of guitar and bass amplifiers. We have a Roland piano amplifier. And I think that's about it. So what we'd like to do, since we built this studio, we would like to see the community use it. And so we are soliciting people that like to do programming in the studio. And so on our website, there is information as well as forms to schedule either rehearsals in the studio, regular programming, special event programming. We've had a number of groups come in that we've helped create programming for. Either they wanted to record some music or whatever, and we've done quite a number of things. The crew, some of them were experienced, some of them were not, has had a year under their belt now. We did the Southeast Alaska Pinewood Derby in here, and we've done memorial services. We've done, like I said, a lot of live band stuff, and so we're doing more and more things. But we'd be happy to host your event. If you want to do a regularly scheduled weekly program, we can do that. We can do classes. We're mostly looking for content in here. For the time being, if you're a nonprofit organization, we're not charging for the use of the studio until July, and then even then we're going to figure out some reasonable price to make sure it's affordable to do this. If you would like to learn to use the equipment yourself, we'll help train you so you can do your own camera work and work the equipment in the studio. If you would like us to do that, we can do that also. We're happy to do either to do that. And we have pretty good pretty good group of people that can help train and do that. We also have some other people that can help, including we've got expertise besides my years of working in television production. The pastor has a theatrical arts degree from Cal Berkeley, and I'll let her talk a bit about her expertise in stage and studio makeup, as well as she's going to talk a little bit about our outreach program that we're also seeking grant money for to try to get access to the studio for people that can't get out to very much to do that. So here is Pastor Karen Perkins.
Do we have anybody live with us?
No.
And where are the cameras?
You can see yourself in the monitor.
So, hello, yes, I'm Pastor Karen Perkins.
Okay, so I'll switch.
And the part of the Juneau Live that I am very passionate about, and that I hope many of you would be engaged and passionate about, is making connections with members of our community that, for one reason or another, have become isolated from the rest of the community. And a lot of these people were isolated before COVID-19, and COVID-19 hit, and besides the fact that the rest of us became isolated, we noticed how dramatically people were affected by isolation. We have members of our community who are elders who don't have somebody either living with them or close enough that can help do their tech support. Some people with disabilities, some people who are just overwhelmed with the technology that those of us who have used it a lot might feel comfortable with and know that they're capable of handling, but it gets frustrating, much like anything that we do the first several hundred times can be frustrating. I try to remind people that tying one's shoes was not easy for quite a while when we first started, but it does become automatic. And while it doesn't take that many times for getting connected with community resources, going to Zoom meetings and participating, watching community events. Similarly, there are a few hiccups that the rest of us forget we encountered when we first used the technology. Consequently, we are interested in getting some teams trained and bonded so that they can go to these individuals' homes and get them connected to Juneau Live, so that any of the content that's being produced here and other content that they might wish to take a look at or participate in becomes accessible to them. So that telehealth, that they might want to have access to Zoom meetings, clubs, library events, concerts, church services, yoga classes, really the possibilities are open to the community's imagination, but become more easily accessible to these members of our community, both for their sake. We know that isolation kills people. Isolation is unhealthy for us in quite a number of ways, but also so that we don't lose these people from our community, because whenever we lose contact with these members of our community, we no longer get to benefit from their gifts. In some cases, maybe they can start teaching classes that we would like to continue taking that we haven't been able to take during COVID-19 or something like that. So it's that getting connected piece, making sure that we have these teams trained to get people connected, and then to check back in with people to say, how's it going? Are you connected? Is there additional support that's needed? And also to be a person with whom there's an existing rapport, so that if a user needs to contact somebody, they've already had a conversation, they already have an idea who they're calling, and they can call us up and say, I'm having difficulty making this connection. Maybe we need to go out and help them. Maybe it can be, maybe the problem can be identified over the phone. Maybe it's just a matter of trying something new or explaining a particular upgrade or menu. But we want to keep people connected. We're also hoping that you, as a member of our community and organization, if you know people who would be ideal for this program, especially if you work with people with disabilities, if you work with people who have health needs, mobility limitations, age limitations, people that are already your friends, your colleagues, your clients. We would love for you to help make those connections for us so that we can be in contact with those people. We're not asking you to give us your mailing lists or anything like that. We're asking you to make the introductions and help pave the way so that we can have a conversation and see whether or not this is a service that would be helpful to the people. The other little piece of this program that's really interesting to me comes from my theater background. Brad did talk about it. And while I do have a theater background, I was a dancer for many years in a number of dance companies, traveled with dance companies. I can't act or sing or anything like that. So I got to do makeup, costuming, and stagecraft. Part of working in a studio is learning that the lighting affects the way we look differently than either being on stage or what real life lighting looks like. Plus, I do actually look at myself on videotape and do all the same criticisms that everybody else does after each worship service. And so I've learned a few things over the year of ways that I'm hoping to improve how I am able to do makeup for the studio. I'm gonna walk over to my studio makeup station and show you how we're set up. We are set up to be COVID safe. I'll explain how. If you are willing to let us do your makeup for you, first of all, I'm very grateful for these seats that lift you up to the right height for me and lighting that I can set at the right height for me to highlight your face, as well as a mirror that you can check your own appearance in. But we know that we don't want anybody to have to reuse any of the same makeup that has been used by somebody else. Everything that is here, I'm able to prepare for individuals. Once I look at your coloring, I can prepare a palette for you, and that becomes your individual palette for the duration of the time that you're in the studio. And then we have single-use applicators. By the way, they're not single-use plastics, they're bamboo or paper. And washable applicators for the different cosmetics so that you can apply them and then we'll either dispose of or wash the applicators. And then the cosmetics I've been making. All of them are made out of food quality ingredients, most of which you'll find in your kitchen, because most of the colors that go on our face can be made out of these food quality ingredients. So I mix up some base powder makeups to keep people from being too glossy and to give a little bit of tint to places on our face that might tend to look washed out online. This is, again, something that's optional and perfectly happy to have people do their own makeup and be responsible for their own appearance. I just like to help people with this because it's fun for me and hopefully something that I have a little bit of experience in. Now, Karen Loffer, who's currently the congregation president, is going to talk to you about the program and our education opportunities that we're hoping to be part of it.
I am mic'd. So I'm going to start out with, as I was down there, I don't know if you saw me earlier, but I was running a camera. My degree is in health information management, and I've retired from the state of Alaska, and I'm learning new things. Instead of a foreign language, I am learning production. And it has been exciting and kind of nerve-wracking because we started out with recording for the folk festival, and knowing the folk festival and enjoying the folk festival for as long as I have, I truly wanted to make sure that this was a wonderful experience, both for the people that were performing as well as the people that will be watching the productions later on. So we have this component of the Juneau Live, which is education. Wouldn't it be wonderful to bring in youth, to bring in college students, to bring in interested persons to learn studio production? I find it fascinating, and I think a lot of people would also. You would be working with the artists, you would be working with the makeup, you would be working with all of the individuals involved here and learn how to do it. Now, there's the cameras, and you see the cameras, and you see all of the microphones, backdrops, and all of those. But it gets even better if you wanted to be a part of the education component. I'm going to walk up the stairs into our production booth. This is our production booth.
Okay.
And you're going to bring it in. Our production booth, as you can see, it has a whole bank of monitors as well as a mixing board. Now, this mixing board has a history. Theoretically, this board was used by Heart to record their first album. So it has some really good vibrations to it. And we get to use it as we mix sound, we mix video, we set up for live stream. And all of it is computer-based, and you have to learn how to utilize all these different pieces of equipment. So you're not only on the floor dealing with the cameras, the lighting, the makeup, the backdrops, the microphones, but you can also then work in the production booth. When Brad was talking, I hope it wasn't too dizzying, but I was showing how I was sitting in the production booth and showing how I could go from camera to camera to give you a view of what the studio looked like. So education is the third part of Juneau Live. And with that,
And we have one more piece. Karen, can you talk about meetings we hold in here?
meetings.
Kind of forgot one key piece. Karen Perkins, you want to do meetings since you're down on the floor?
Sure.
I'll get it back on a camera for you.
I'm going to start facing this one. The mic, actually, I think it might have a low battery.
Why don't you take the handheld?
I have the handheld.
Oh, and take maybe Karen Loffer's clip on.
No, just hold it. That's one of those expressions you aren't going to want to catch on camera, by the way. across the state that otherwise you would have had to wait till people traveled. We are having meetings across the state, in some cases meetings across the country and further. Those are also easy to arrange, schedule online, and then just link people in each.
And direct people back to the website if they have questions or to contact us.
So I'm going to direct you back to the website in case you have questions or would like to contact us. That would be that's Juneau Live, JUNEAULIVE.org. That is JuneauLive.org, right?
Yep, that's fine. Or RLC Juneau's fine, or RLC Live.
RLCJuneau.org or RLCLive.org. Any of those are links to different portions of the program. All will have contacts and additional information on drop-down menus.
Great. Thank you today for taking this tour with us, and we hope people will call. And if you want to come down for an in-person tour anytime, contact us, and we'll be happy to give you a tour of the site.
I guarantee that if you come in, just spend a few minutes in the studio, you'll start to have ideas about how it would serve you.
Okay. Thank you.